Welcome back to Small College Conversations. I'm Kristen Eargle, and I am so excited to bring you my next guest. This is Kelly Perry, Rocky Mountain College's Director of Athletics. Kelly, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
You are in about 3 months of the new role there at Rocky Mountain, starting your year with Teamworks before that. What did you learn from being outside of athletics to now going back in and in this leadership role? How did that change your approach to all of this?
Teamworks came at a really good time for me. I was a little bit at a crossroads of what I wanted to do within athletics, even if I wanted to stay in college athletics. And I definitely experienced some burnout, and it came at a really great time for me. And it was almost like a complete reset of my thinking, of not being on the go 100% of the time. And just trying to figure out what it looks like not being on campus. And so, but through that time, I knew I wanted to get back on campus. I just missed the excitement, the kids, the coaches. But I think it really made me pause and think, I don't have to answer every single email right now. Every decision doesn't have to be made right this second. So I think, just bringing back a little bit, I've calmed down a little bit. I mean, I don't know how much I really have. I had a staff member bring me a sign that said, "Don't poke the bear." So, I mean, in 3 months, I don't know really how calm I am, but not everything has to happen right now. And making sure that the staff that we have, the coaches we have, know that, I want you to have a life outside of this. I don't want you to be buried by every single hat that you wear, because we're going to get our job done. We're going to get our work done. But it doesn't have to consume every part of who we are.
For sure. Wow, I love that. And such wisdom in the way you're operating your organization right now. Before Teamworks, you served as an AD at UNT Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different athletic department geography, number of sport size, a lot of things. History of the school. What lessons did you learn in your tenure there that's helping you now at Rocky Mountain?
Yeah, I think, being at UNT Dallas was really unique. It was about a 4-year-old program, but really it was starting at bare bones. And so just creating those foundations of what do we want to be? What message do we want to send? Does our vision align with what the university is? And I think that when you come into a place like Rocky, where they've been established for so long, they've been successful for so long, is when we're adding new pieces, we're adding new people, adding new leadership, is our foundation still strong? Are the building blocks that we've created over the years still relevant? And I think really keeping it simple, continually making sure that the foundation is strong, what message that we're conveying. Same thing that I tried to build at UNT Dallas. We're just making sure that here at Rocky that, we are aligning with our college's mission. And as we continue to build, whether that's adding new sports, media, NIL, that the foundation that we've created before I even got here still remains true.
Now you cut your teeth coming up in Oklahoma City for nearly a decade under the great Jim Abbott. So
Yes.
I imagine, like many, there are a lot of kind things and lessons that you learned along the way. What would some of those be, some things you took away from Jim?
I probably could do the whole interview on the lessons that I learned from Jim.
Let's do it.
to be honest. I think I was really lucky. I feel like I got a cheat code to being successful as an athletic director. I think if I have like a small percentage of the success that he has, I will, be happy. And for me, I think a couple of things really stand out is one, being really solutions based. Jim did not have a lot of patience for complaining or, seeing all the problems we have. And I think in small college athletics, we can really easily focus on things like we don't have enough staff, we don't have enough resources, we don't have the money to do things. But he was really solutions based. And I aligned with that early on, just being in compliance. I was never a no person. It was, here are our parameters. How can we get to where you want to be within these parameters? And, working with Jim, that pivoted into when I wanted to become a leader, when I wanted to do things outside of that, is how can I bring this solution to our coaches and our staff and our department within the parameters of where we're working. So I think that was one of the big lessons, and hopefully I'm teaching that to our coaches and our staff is, I know we have problems. I know there are hardships that we face, but how can we still be successful with those hardships and be more like, how can we solve those problems? And I think, just me professionally, I always, hey, if I was really good at my job, people will ask me to do things or I will get other opportunities. And I think Jim was always really good at making sure, like, I introduced this person to her, or, hey, step outside of your comfort zone to get what you wanted. And I think that he'd probably tell you that I did that way better when he retired, and I couldn't rely on him to be my person anymore. But I think just casting that shadow, making sure that, when you have new people who step into athletic roles, to really be there to help them. I'm coming up in almost 20 years in the business, so I'm considered a veteran now, and it doesn't feel like that, but just making sure that you're available to people, still reaching out when you need help, but also offering that help to others.
I'm imagining you got his advice a couple months ago. When you first came on at RMC, had to conduct a football search as a previous head coach,
Yeah.
left a few weeks after your announcement. So walk us through how you ran that search, what you think you learned about your institution, and how did you get to know your stakeholders through this process?
Yeah, it was a very tall task because I wasn't on campus yet. And while I kind of fell in love with Rocky during the process and in my little time that I was on my interview, I didn't really know the ins and outs of the institution. And so for me, it was really important, probably more so than any other hire. Football is a very important hire. It was the very first time I'm ever going to be hiring a football coach. Um, and really making sure that the people across campus were represented. So I probably had a bigger search than we probably had 10 to 12, which is a lot of people. But I wanted to make sure that every part that football was going to touch was represented on this search. We did a lot of background, a lot of applications. And I think on my first day, I stepped foot on campus. It was like, open the door to your office. Here's 4 interviews that we're about to conduct. So it was, and we had to get that done quickly because we do have students that we want to retain. We have to recruit. And so timing was really important. But, football is really big here. We have a lot of student athletes, where roster management is important just as much as competitive. So we had to make sure we had admissions and academics and our president and, some coaches and some staff members. So that part was really important for me because there was probably going to be questions that I couldn't answer. So I wanted to make sure that the people that were way smarter than me were in the room answering those questions.
And now that this is hired, you're just a few months into the role. Have you put together maybe a list of priorities of things that you're going to look at both short term and long term in this 3 to 5 year kind of range that everyone kind of plans in?
Yeah. It's been really nice because Billings is of a small community and a community that loves Rocky. So they have been very forthright in what they want from me. So that's helpful because as I'm, stepping foot in January, we've got about 4 seasons going on. We've made decisions, we've had success. We want to host, we want to do all these things. So sitting down and thinking about like, hey, this is what we need to do in the next 6 months, the next, 2 years, the next 5 years hasn't really even occurred yet too much, just because we're just trying to get through some of the things. But our community has been really great about the things that they want to see. And that has helped me kind of, start to plan some of those things in the short term of, what we want to accomplish, what we want our athletic department to look like. Are we happy with the way things are? What are some of the tweaks we need to make, both big and small? And I think that we're, getting kind of to that calmer part of our season. So kind of taking some of the things that I've heard from the community around us and, getting to to really start to talk with our coaches and staff about here's what we want to do. I think those lists will start to come, and we'll start to tackle some of those things here this summer.
Any thoughts right now on where you are in terms of sports sponsorship, maybe some sports you potentially want to add, those enrollment type of questions? I mean, we all know those are a driver in small colleges.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really people. I think we've talked about adding softball, which I love because it's near and dear to my heart. It's what I played in college, played my whole life. So, we've really talked about that. It's hard to imagine as it's March 31st and there's a blizzard outside, but we probably will start looking at that. We want to make sure that I have this structure. I need to add, another athletic trainer. That would mean another probably administrator on campus. I got a place to put them. I don't have one right this second. So again, all of those things that have to go into the surrounding structures. Do we have enough dorm beds? Do we have enough of those things? Can our facilities hold the sports that we want to add? I don't think it's out of the realm. I think we're probably 3 to 4 years away from that, because we want to make sure that we've got that structure in place. But we're probably looking at softball, maybe some flag down the road, and really want to beef up some of those women's sports.
Softball, that's near and dear to my heart as well.
Yes.
Frontier Conference, how do you think your teams are stacking up right now? Where would you see maybe some places where you need to make a pivotal push to be competitive and remain competitive in a very stacked league?
Yeah. The Frontier is no joke. We are competitive, nationally in every sport that we play. And I think that where we're at right now, we've positioned ourselves to be competing for conference titles every single year. I think football was a big hire. And so, with what the staff that we've created, it may not be this year, but I would be looking to see, maybe Coach Vandelo would be like, nah, we're going to do it. We're going to start right off the bat. But I think volleyball and football are our big ones this year. The rest of our coaches, we have the pieces in place to be, like I said, competing for a conference title and get into those postseasons in every sport that we compete in.
One of the early moves was to enter an exclusive live streaming deal with Urban Edge Network. Walk me through some of those things. Why was that a right fit for your media rights?
Yeah, sure. So Urban Edge, has been working with the NAIA for the last couple of years, really, especially in those postseasons. It's been so instrumental with getting some viewership, because it was behind a paywall for a very long time, and being able to remove that has been incredible for the NAIA. Coming to Rocky, the support that we get from our media is outstanding. The viewers that we get for what we do on our live stream is better than what I've had in my previous positions. And so I think for us, our visions aligned. I've been in AIA my whole life. I grew up in Kansas City. I was the kid who was, the students came to my school. So I have lived and breathed in AIA my whole life. And I have always been very loud and proud and unapologetic about the place where the NAIA sits and the value that we have within collegiate athletics. And Urban Edge has really supported that, really showcasing the talent of our student athletes, our institutions, and our departments. And so for me, it was really a no-brainer to partner with them.
Final question for you from an athletics perspective. Actually, I don't know if it's going to be a final question for you. I think I will have a follow-up to it. But from an athletic perspective, how are you and your coaches thinking about differentiation and creating a unique value proposition as you try to recruit and retain, especially in this environment we have right now?
Yeah. Small college athletics is special unto its own. We're not looking at, the $1 million of NIL money or that exposure. What I think Rocky has is we're coming up on 250 years. So we've been around a long time. And so that success, both academically in our community and athletically, speaks volumes of, to student athletes. And with Rocky, we have MSUB right down the road, and it's a D2. And, we do take advantage of that. We do have our Rimrock rivalry with them. So we don't shy away from the fact that we have something right across the street. But I think what we can offer is, a storied history of success, our place in the community, being able to showcase where we've got a lot of history, a lot of success, and that they can be part of that story. We've got a lot of people who, who are in our Hall of Fame, who are still around, who still talk about, this is where we came from and this is where you get to go and you get to be part of this long-term history. And I think that's really special that we can do and advocate for our student athletes.
Okay, biggest surprise for you coming in and being the athletic director here? Anything that's just go, oh, I didn't expect that, or no, I've done this. This is not my first day.
It's really funny because people will just, one day just send you random things, and I've always expected that in athletics. You never know, especially where you're at, but somebody, just randomly emailed and said like, hey, I have this like 600-pound bear that I want to give you. It's, as a like mascot. And I'm like, yes, we will 100% take this. And, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, we have to go get a U-Haul and we're going to get Cletus and we're going to showcase him at games. And that's never something that would have happened at Oklahoma City University.
Okay, so I have so many questions. Like, how are you preparing to get a 600-pound bear? Where is he going to live during the game?
I know. See, when I tell this story, when I introduce this story, that's exactly like, where are we going to put Cletus? Where does So I have a room next door that we use a lot for recruits. And so along with the backdrop, he's going to be part of recruitment day, graduation, and all of these things. So we're going to put him in a U-Haul at some point and hopefully get him to campus, and it's going to be amazing. But yeah, I think that's just some of those, things that here in Montana, we've got wildlife, we've got rabbits who come onto the field. There might be a moose or two, and
really,
we're just going to roll with it.
I'm coming. I have to come.
Yes, please.
That's incredible. Okay, you mentioned something at the top that I wanted to kind of end with, and just kind of your new perspective on, you've been an athletic director before, you went to TeamWorks.
Mm-hmm.
From a personal perspective and handling all the tasks that you do right now, how do you maintain steadiness personally in your leadership style?
Yeah, I think, people will talk about a balance. There's no such thing. It's more like we're juggling, you know what I mean? And one of these, and I try to tell this to our student athletes too, is that that's never going to be a steady stream. It's really not. And you got to take that with however you can take it. Some days you're going to be more academic. Some days you're going to be more athletic. Some days you're going to be a better teammate and a friend and a daughter and a son. And some days you're not going to be. And you got to take care of yourself, and you got to do all of these things. And I think my time outside of athletics has made me appreciate that more. And I think I want to make sure that those things for our student athletes, our coaches, and our staff we're doing. Because then it helps me. It helps remind me that I need to take the time to do that too. And that an email is going to be there tomorrow. That problem is going to be there tomorrow if I don't have to take care of it today. And that'll be just fine. Sometimes I need that reassurance of myself of, it's going to be okay if you do not take care of everything on the to-do list. And I want to just make sure that I portray that, because I don't want somebody, to come to me and say, I'm so burnt out because we have all of these things going on. Because at the end of the day, we're really lucky in the job that we are in. We get to impact students doing something that we love. We get to teach them lessons that they're going to take on for the rest of their life. And we get to do it through sport. And it's so unique. It's so special that there's sometimes we just got to be like, you know what? Nobody else gets to do what we do. And we're really lucky that we get to do it. So we can't be stressed that we didn't get this one task done on time.
Kelly, wisdom there. Really enjoyed meeting you. This has been incredible.
Thank you. Appreciate that.